There's more to Seattle than just Starbucks and Microsoft. There's also Tiki. On this episode of Tiki with Ray, we're going to be talking about all the cool things happening here in the Emerald City.
Hi, I'm Tiki with Ray. Today, we're in Ballard at a lovely tiki bar called The Bungalow. This is Sally Struthers. She's the owner and proprietor of this lovely bar.
Hey, y'all.
And
Don't listen to this guy. He's a fraud. I'm telling you from experience.
Get out.
Who is this intruder?
The real
Ray, get him out of here.
The real
Ray,
Tiki
Get
with Ray.
out.
The real Tiki with Ray has a better haircut. Hi everyone, this is Ray, or some of you might know me as Tiki with Ray, and right now I am actually in Seattle, Washington, Ballard to be more specific, and I am in a home tiki bar called The Bungalow. The owners of this place are Robb and Sarah. Say hello to the camera.
Hello.
Hey there.
So, the weird thing about Seattle is we don't really have a lot of true tiki bars, but what we actually do have is a lot of bars that do tiki nights, which would be like, okay, Tiki Tuesdays. So a bar normally would just be like a regular bar, but on Tuesdays they serve tiki drinks. And that's kind of what we have to work with in Seattle. Out of all the places, what would be your favorite place?
Sarah?
For me, by far, Tiki Tuesday at Essex.
Mm-hmm.
I was introduced to it. When I first started working, I got hired for a job at Essex.
So you actually worked there?
I did for a
Wow.
very, very brief amount of time, but it was really fun. And,
It was so fun that you worked there for a brief amount of time.
well, I may have been slightly unemployed when I got that job, and then I got a full-time gig. No offense to Essex or Delancey, but anyway. So the nights that I worked were Tuesdays. And little known to me, it was a brand new night. They weren't usually open on Tuesdays. And they started to have Taco and Tiki Tuesdays. And that
At the same time.
At the same time.
So it'd be
it's sort
Taco
of
Tiki
a
Tuesday.
Interesting
Yes, it would be, yeah.
little hybrid that they put together. And the bartender, Alex, was pretty much my first introduction to real tiki drinks with real homemade syrups, orgeat, etc.,
Yeah.
etc.
He
so
taught me how to
it was pretty
pronounce
exciting.
orgeat.
Yes, he did. He taught us a lot of things.
You know how I learned how to say orgeat? Is Zsa Zsa Gabor.
There you go.
It was Oja.
That's
So I guess I just showed my age
good way
there.
to remember it.
You know that old actress from the 50s?
Jaja.
So this is Ballard, Washington. Ballard is a neighborhood of Seattle. And the city of Seattle is built up of neighborhoods. And Ballard is one of those. And there is a place in Seattle called the Albatross. And the Albatross kind of has more of like an Asian, pseudo-Asian feel to it,
Well,
would you say?
Pan-Asian?
Pan-Asian?
Their menu is sort of like an cool Asian fusion type
Yeah.
deal.
And
With
they-
tacos.
Yeah.
They got tacos.
Tiki and tacos. That's the connection. But they actually have a full tiki menu of drinks. I've spent some time there.
They have
Do
a
the
great
big
rum
bowls,
selection.
They have the long straws.
rum
They light
selection.
things on fire. It's a
Yeah,
lot of fun.
Tons of Hamilton.
But at the same time, I wouldn't really call it a tiki bar based on the
No,
decor
no.
or the music at all.
Hula Hula is a fun bar.
Okay.
It is a fun bar, absolutely.
It's a fun bar, and they have
Yeah.
there's a respectable rum selection,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, if you're somebody who walks in there and orders something off the cocktail menu and doesn't like it, that's cool. You tried.
Mm-hmm.
Check out the rum selection. Get something on the rocks. Get something
That's
with
true.
some soda and a lime or something. Enjoy some good rum. They have good rum, and look around you, man. It's killer. They got blowfish lights all around the bar. They got a cool like hanging orchid garden.
Absolutely.
It's cool.
The decorations are stepped up from what they were at the previous Queen Anne location.
Yeah.
And it's a lot cooler of a space. It's kind of bigger. It's got some steps up, some steps down.
Some steps up and some steps down.
Steps up, some steps down. And, you know, we love karaoke, so we like hula hula.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Hula Hula, what we're talking about, there's a bar in Seattle called Hula Hula, which is actually a tiki bar. Hula Hula is actually my first tiki bar that I ever went to. They originally,
school.
I'm old school. They originally used to be in a neighborhood called Queen Anne, and they were there up until literally like a year ago, and then they moved up on Capitol Hill, which is kind of like the happening area in Seattle. My opinion of Hula Hula is back in the day, they were like full on tiki. You would go in there, you'd hear surf music. They literally had a book of like tiki drinks. But over the years, the karaoke crowd have become more and more prominent there. And it's what kept the place in business, actually. And over time, a lot of those people weren't really too concerned about tiki drinks. So that book of tiki drinks has literally turned into like a pamphlet. So, yeah, there's Hula Hula, which is in Seattle, but it's definitely more of like a karaoke vibe than like a...
It's karaoke first.
Yeah.
Tiki decor second.
Yeah.
Tiki drinks like fifth.
Tiki
I
drinks.
think it's tiki decor first, and there's no denying it's a tiki
Yeah,
bar.
absolutely,
You walk in
absolutely.
there, they've got like thatched like little umbrellas.
I
They've
don't
got
know, but, like,
bamboo on. They've got cool carved masks. I think it's
Definitely
cool.
true, but if you think about why somebody's going to go in there in the first place, I'd say it's probably because they want to go sing
That's a good way of
karaoke.
putting it.
And then they're pleasantly surprised because, ta-da, it's a super fun tiki bar inside.
What's your favorite tiki bar in Seattle?
Okay, well, my favorite tiki bar in Seattle is actually the Dilla Room. Now, here's the situation. The Dilla Room isn't a tiki bar at all. But there's a bartender there. His name is Justin. And he does a tiki night every Tuesday. And his drinks are my favorite. I've been around the country, and I've really come to the conclusion I think he might be one of my favorite bartenders. Justin is the only guy there who actually does make the tiki drinks, but as long as he's working, he can make you a drink. I'm a fan of his place. A lot of times most of the time if you go into the Dill Room, they're mostly usually playing like surf music anyway, or like Link Ray or stuff like that. So they kind of have the music going on. Justin usually is wearing an Aloha shirt anyway. So as long as once you get like a zombie or two in you and you're just kind of staring at Justin and you're hearing the music, you're kind of almost getting a tiki experience. So Rob, what is your favorite Tiki Tuesday or your tiki scene in Seattle?
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, Nick is slinging some amazing drinks at Essex on Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt that it's like 5 blocks from our place. And it doesn't hurt that like we can usually belly up to the bar and I can usually pester him and ask him what the newest concoction he's making is, and I can be the guy that like tries to be cool and order off menu and goof around, and that's always fun because then you feel like, you know, you're a part of it. And that's what I like about tiki culture too. When you feel like you're kind of a part of it, it makes it a little bit better. It's a little harder when you belly up to a bar and it's crowded and you don't feel comfortable with the bartender asking him some questions. So I think that's kind of the above and beyond appeal of Essex to me.
Mm-hmm.
I have, you know, since she worked there or whatever, we have a nice rapport with those folks, and they're awesome. Their food's incredible. The pizza joint connected to it's incredible.
Bonkers.
Bonkers, incredible. And the cocktails are great. That Ubatuba daiquiri, which you're familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
I dream about that thing, man.
Yeah.
I dream about that little frosty coupe with that delicious concoction in it. So that's probably my top. But yeah, of course, as you were saying, when I have the energy to make it to downtown Seattle, you know, it's always fun to go to the Dilla Room and look at that beautifully designed tiki menu that Tony Canepa, what's it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
he drew that. Beautiful, and then it's always great to look
Tony
up
actually designed this this mug.
Yeah.
Palm
One.
Court, which is actually an apartment building in Ballard.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I actually saw this place just walking around, and I love that building. And then we go to Essex, and all of a sudden there's a mug or a glass with the place on it. So
I mean,
How
when
cool
was
is it?
when was the last time you
Come on.
lived at a place that had its own cocktail glass?
cocktail
That
glass,
is the
so
coolest
cool.
thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
So what the bartender at Essex is a guy named Nick Hardigan. Is that how you say his last name?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
And Yeah, Essex is literally, it's almost kind of like a hole in the wall kind of bar up in North Ballard.
Kind of in the middle of nowhere.
What's Whittier Heights? Is that what's called?
Well, it's in the
Think
middle
so.
of nowhere, but it's very like
Is that the neighborhood?
simply, elegantly decorated.
Whittier Heights. And
Yeah, it's the neighborhood names up here are a little overzealous. I mean, there's
Yeah.
Sunset Hill, there's Crown Heights, there's Whittier Heights. It's
We
it's
just
North
gotta
Ballard, man.
call it
you
North
know?
Ballard.
Yeah.
yeah, I really love Nick's
Yeah.
drinks, and this is the thing. I mean, I drink. I've had my fair share of tiki drinks in my doing what I do, and you don't really think about it much, but a lot of times you drink these drinks and then you kind of forget what they tasted like.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many places I've been where like you drink your drink and then 2 days later you're like, oh yeah, I have no idea what that was. I think this seems really basic, but like what I loved about Nick's drinks, same thing with Justin down at the Diller, is like I know those drinks, the drinks that Nick has made. I remember each one distinctly.
Yeah. That's another like level to it all. Like,
Yeah.
of course, everybody likes to drink a delicious drink, but can you remember it, and does it leave?
Do you remember
its
it
mark,
later and
you
want to
know?
go back to have that one more time?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or more than that,
Yeah.
So another place up in Seattle is there's a place called Rumba. Rumba is actually a Caribbean themed bar, but they have a very, very large rum collection.
Isn't it like the
Probably the most
biggest
in
on the West
in
Coast or something?
in the state at least.
Yeah,
for
it's-
Except
sure.
maybe
It's
for
pretty
Smuggler's
crazy.
Cove or something. It's insane.
Yeah, it's insane. They serve Caribbean food. I'm a big fan of their Cuban sandwich, and they actually do a tiki night on Wednesdays. But they actually have a pretty decent selection of tiki drinks on their menu all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a fun that I really enjoy.
Yeah, their
Enjoy
daiquiris that they have every day of the week are slamming. I mean, just the selection alone's crazy. They have like the rum. What do you call it? Like they have the rum samplers map.
Oh, the rum flights.
The rum
Yeah.
flights where you
Yeah.
can like sample rums from all around the Caribbean, well, all around the world. But and then if you try them all and write your name on it all, you get a shiny toy or whatever you get. But you know what I mean.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
have that many rums where you can fill out an entire map and
It's pretty
drink your
amazing.
way through the Caribbean or whatever.
So you've done Cuba?
Done
you've
Cuba.
done
I've done the
some
Martinique
other
stuff,
country.
the
Martinique.
agricole stuff.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
very unique.
You have a lot of terrain to cover.
I
there.
do. I wish I could go back in time and write down all the things that I have had in my life, because I certainly probably could fill it out a few times over.
You should write a book.
Doesn't count for
You
there.
should write a book and call it Around the World in 80 Rums.
God.
Around the world in 80 rums.
By Robb.
Yeah, that's
Seager.
pretty good, Ray. I don't laugh at your jokes very often, but that one's pretty good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thanks. Can you be more condescending, Rob? So when it comes to tiki bars in Seattle, I have a little joke that I like to say. It's like my favorite tiki bar in Seattle is actually Tacoma Cabana, which is actually down in Tacoma. Now, Tacoma is a city that is 45 minutes south of Seattle, but it's the tiki bar as far as I'm concerned here.
It's awesome. Love it. If I can get in there, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jason Alexander and Robin Murphy, they're the owners of it, and it's like family when you go down there. The drinks are great, the food is great, the decor is great. It's definitely worth the trip. And a lot of times when people come in from out of town, they're like, "Where are we gonna go? Where are all the cool tiki spots?" I'm like, "Well, it looks like we're going to Tacoma, because that's where the action is."
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love Tacoma, man. Obviously Tacoma Cabana is a highlight, but
yeah.
I love hanging out in that city for a little staycation, as we call it when we leave Seattle.
Yeah.
It's always fun. It's great. There's a bowling alley with an indoor mini golf course, which is so cool.
Absolutely.
There's great fried chicken,
Yeah.
which
There's
is
a
my
Frisco
favorite food.
freeze.
There's a the Frisco freeze for burgers.
Yeah, people say
delicious.
that Tacoma right now is what Seattle was like in the early 90s.
Rob had an epic birthday to Tacoma Cabana one year.
What would happen?
For his 35th birthday. I'll let you tell the story.
I'll try to make it quick. We, Sarah gathered a group of friends for my 35th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
We assembled ourselves at Rumba and drank some really good cocktails in a booth there. Mm-hmm. But everybody was acting a little weird. Like I was like, I could tell there was like something on the horizon. Yeah. And that something ended up being my parents, who are living in Wisconsin still, where I grew up. They walked through the door and I was like, what? It was a total surprise that my parents were there. So that was really awesome. Wow. They came and I ordered my dad a 151 Swizzle. He was like, what the? It was amazing. But everybody was still kind of acting a little weird. And when we got up to leave the booth to go to the next bar, everybody was kind of filing out of the bar really strangely, and everybody was paying a lot of attention to me. It was really weird. And when we got out to the sidewalk, we looked across the street.
Did you have maybe like, do I have like a terminal illness that I
didn't know about? It was just odd. I was like, is there something? Yeah, like, what is happening? So we got out on the sidewalk, and I looked across the street to this parking lot, and there was just this massive party bus with like this happy birthday banner over it. And Sarah was like, we were hauling around all these wrapped presents. She was like, open up your present. I opened up the present. It was like this case of rum and all these mixers and like cupcakes with little hula girls on them. And she's like, we're going to Tacoma Cabana on a party bus.
No way.
Oh, it was incredible. We all filed on this bus, and I was like making cocktails for everybody as they came into the bus. We were drinking on the bus and playing music and dancing and stuff. And I had never been to Tacoma Cabana before.
That was your first time?
It was my first time.
Okay.
And they gave us this little private room, and when I walked in, they gave me like this animal pelt, and they wrapped me in this animal pelt and handed me a zombie through like this private bar window thing. And it was just like, it was awesome. It was awesome. And then, of course, when we left, we got back on the bus and partied all the way back up to Seattle.
Robb's dad made us stop at the 7-Eleven to make sure we had ice.
We needed more ice for the ride back.
So this giant party bus like kind of like pulls into a 7-Eleven like long side.
Yeah, it was great.
So we could make sure we had party ice for the long 40-minute trip back home.
It was great. I remember blasting
and we went up
Cannonball
to
by the Breeders. Just blasting it and like dancing around the bus. And then the bus dropped us off. And we all went to Hotel Albatross in Ballard and continued drinking giant punch bowls of various
to mostly drinks. Bruce Springsteen, as I recall.
Yeah. Yeah, we were drinking Scorpions, and it was great.
But just think about what you just said, though. I mean, like, you set the party bus to drive all the way down to Tacoma Cabana.
Because it's a great destination.
So that says something.
It was awesome.
That's a testament to the place.
It's so much fun.
And I'm serious. Like, if anyone ever comes in from out of town, I'm taking them to Tacoma Cabana because that is the Tiki bar.
Yeah.
Now, there's another Tiki bar that's actually north of Seattle. There's a town called Bothell. And there's a chain called McMenamins, which is kind of more popular out here in the Pacific Northwest. And what they do is they actually fix up old historic buildings, and they kind of maintain its integrity, and then they kind of make it into a restaurant or a bar or a pub or anything like that. Well, what they did is they actually bought an entire school.
Yeah,
it was a high school that was in Bothell with like different buildings, and the swimming pool, which is its own building, they converted it into a tiki bar.
Yeah,
and they maintained the pool. And then they made the tiki bar above the pool, kind of like a Swiss Family Robinson kind of thing.
It's pretty cool.
And the decor is great. They have great drinks. They have great music. It's only
food.
Great food.
Great
actually.
rum selection.
Great rum selection. So a lot of times when people come in from out of town, they want to go for a good tiki experience. I'm taking them up to Tacoma, down to Tacoma, or I'm taking them up to Bothell to McMenamins.
It's really fun. Yeah, it's also cool because that pool is the community pool.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah, you can swim in there.
So it's not.
And it's saltwater.
Yeah, it's warm. It's heated. It's indoor. And the bar itself is up above.
Yeah.
And all the windows, all the windows look down onto the pool. So, like, your friends could be down there and you can be up in the bar drinking and they can wave at you. It's like...
the classic wave from a distance.
Kind of a
Always
blast.
a fun time.
It's a super fun, like, staycation, basically, for those of us that are in Seattle.
Yeah,
We've done that a
they
couple
turned,
times. It's really fun.
The all of the classrooms are essentially
Hotel
rooms now.
Yeah, the old main building of the high school is all hotel rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And there's actually a bar called the principal's office, which is this little bar that's the size of your home tiki bar here, where you could be staying in the hotel and have your flip-flops on and walk and have a drink
at the principal's office. Yeah.
There's a couple of really other cute little spots on the property too. There's there's a little cabin that was incredibly small, maybe like sat 20 people.
Yep.
I think it was primarily all about whiskey and bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the shed. I think.
Yeah,
Shed.
it's the wood.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
wood shed.
yeah.
Or the shop. It was the shop.
Oh, it was the wood shop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wood shop.
There's the wood shop, and then
And,
there's actually the tavern. The tavern's like fine dining.
Yeah.
The wood shop was really cute.
It was cool.
I really
in there.
loved it. I would love to go back sometime.
We had some nice. We had some nice snifters of whiskey by the fire
Yeah.
in autumn.
After we got out of the pool and we were kind of cold.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when it comes to Seattle. There's tiki here. You just got to know where to find it. But with that, aloha, mahalo, and
Good night.
good night.
Cheers.
There's a place in downtown Seattle called the Dilla Room. Now, the Dilla Room isn't a tiki bar.
Sorry.
Where the fuck are you
I
going?
was gonna
What
get
are
this
you
out of the
even
frame.
doing?
I was gonna get that out.
Right now, I'm giving my monologue, and you decide that you need to get rid of that glass
Good.
right now. You want to check your email before we continue? Do you need to write a dissertation before we?
Actually, let me ask you. All right, so hold on.
Yeah. What the fuck are you doing that for?